Have you ever wondered why the most formidable figures in history, kings cloistered in palaces, billionaires shrouded in silence, leaders who vanish at their zenith, seem to operate from the shadows? Is not arrogance, it's not caprice. It's a calculated dance between presence and absence, visibility and mystery, noise and silence. What if the key to power isn't in relentlessly asserting yourself, but in knowing when to disappear? This isn't a modern hack. It's a timeless strategy, etched into the annals of history, psychology, and human behavior. From Machiavelli's cold pragmatism to the subtlety of ancient Eastern philosophy, from the courts of Versailles to the battlefields of Genghis Khan, the most influential figures understood one truth. To be powerful, you must first become scarce. Let's begin with Niccolò Machiavelli, the Renaissance strategist whose name has become synonymous with ruthless political calculus. In The Prince, he distilled power into a science, advising rulers to cultivate esteem rather than affection. A man who is esteemed is not easily conspired against, he wrote. But how does one cultivate esteem? Not through constant visibility or eager accessibility. Machiavelli argued that a ruler's authority thrives on distance, on being just out of reach. When a leader is rarely seen, their every appearance becomes an event. Their words carry weight precisely because they are sparingly dispensed. Overexposure in Machiavelli's eyes was a fatal flaw. It invites scrutiny, dilutes mystique, and transforms reverence into routine. A king who mingles too freely with the masses loses the aura of divinity. A CEO who tweets hourly becomes background noise. Familiarity, as the saying goes, breeds contempt. But Machiavelli didn't invent this idea. Centuries earlier, Lao Tzu, the ancient Chinese philosopher, wrote in the Tao Te Ching, "The sage stays behind, thus he is ahead." This paradoxical wisdom underscores a profound truth. Power isn't seized through force or clamor. It's cultivated through stillness, restraint, and the strategic withholding of presence. Lao Tzu's sage doesn't dominate the room. He haunts it. His influence is felt in the spaces between actions, in the silence after a question. By refusing to vie for attention, he becomes the gravitational center around which others orbit. The lesson? The less you assert, the more you control. Modern psychology validates these ancient insights. Robert Cialdini's scarcity principle, cornerstone of behavioral science, reveals that humans assign greater value to what is rare, elusive, or fleeting. We chase Jin Liangban's sneakers, obsess over unrequited love, and mythologize reclusive artists. Our brains are wired to equate scarcity with worth. When something or someone is perpetually available, it becomes mundane. But when access is limited, desire intensifies. This isn't manipulation, it's neurology. The dopamine-driven loop of anticipation and reward ensures that we fixate on what might slip away. Apply this to human dynamics. The colleague who's always at their desk becomes invisible. The friend who's eternally on call is taken for granted. But the person who appears selectively, they become a magnet. Their absence creates a vacuum others rush to fill. History offers masterclasses in this art. Consider Louis XIV, France's Sun Kung, who transformed monarchy into theater. He designed Versailles as a stage where every moment of his day, from waking to sleeping, coucher to spleeping, was a public spectacle. Yet, paradoxically, audiences with Louis himself were rarer than diamonds. Nobles jostled for years to earn a glance, a nod, a murmured word. By rationing his presence, Louis turned proximity into a currency. His silence became a weapon, his occasional attention a reward that could make or break careers. He wasn't merely a king, he was a myth, his power amplified by what he withheld. Warfare, too, reveals the potency of absence. Subutai, Genghis Khan's legendary general, terrorized enemies not just with brutality but with unpredictability. He'd vanish his armies into the steppes, leaving foes paralyzed by doubt. Where was he? When would he strike? The uncertainty was as lethal as his arrows. Often, where least expected, his myth had already won the battle. His power lay not in constant aggression, but in the terror of the unknown. The Mongols understood invisibility is a force multiplier. Contrast this with Napoleon Bonaparte, whose downfall illustrates the peril of overexposure. After his initial exile to Elba, Napoleon staged a dramatic return, the 100 Days Campaign. But his second act fizzled. Why? He'd returned too soon, before absence could soften his failures into legend. Instead of awe, he evoked déjà vu. People remembered the emperor who'd overreached, not the conqueror who'd once dazzled Europe. Napoleon's fatal error? He underestimated the alchemy of absence. To sustain power, you must vanish long enough for memory to burnish your image. This dance between presence and absence isn't just for emperors and generals. It's encoded into our daily interactions. The friend who's always available becomes an afterthought. The partner who texts incessantly smothers desire. But the one who withdraws, they become a question mark, a puzzle we're compelled to solve. Psychologists call this the Zeigarnik effect. Incomplete interactions linger in our minds far longer than resolved ones. By leaving conversations unresolved, meetings unrequested, or plans unconfirmed, you hijack others' mental bandwidth. Your absence becomes a presence. Even nature understands this law. Alpha wolves don't snarl their way to dominance. They exert power through calibrated silence, a glance, a pause, a strategic withdrawal. These are the tools of pack leadership. The alpha's authority isn't in noise, but in the certainty that its presence, when deployed, will reshape the terrain. Similarly, in Japanese samurai culture, elevated warriors into legends. A master swordsman didn't brandish his skill. He let rumors of it precede him. His power grew in the gaps between sightings, in the stories others concocted in his absence. In today's hyper-connected world where oversharing is the norm, strategic absence is revolutionary. Elon Musk's weeks-long Twitter silences amplify the impact of his sporadic posts. Beyoncé's year-long vanishings make her surprise drops seismic events. These figures don't chase the spotlight. They orchestrate it. Their power isn't in constant visibility, but in the tension between absence and revelation. They remind us, to be seen is inevitable, to be remembered is an art. But how does one practice this art without veering into aloofness? The key is intentionality. Absence isn't neglect, it's curation. It's the difference between hiding and withholding. When you disappear without purpose, you erode trust. But when you vanish to recalibrate, to let others marinate in your influence, you ascend from participant to icon. The goal isn't to erase yourself, but to become a specter, felt even when unseen. This is the first lesson in the curriculum of power. Scarcity breeds value. Whether you're a CEO, an artist, or a parent, your presence gains weight when it's rationed. Silence your compulsion to fill every silence. Resist the itch to explain, justify, or appease. Let the world wonder. Let your absence speak louder than your noise. Because in the end, power doesn't reside in what you show, it thrives in what you don't. Imagine a world where every leader, lover, and visionary clung to the spotlight. No mystique, no anticipation, no room for the imagination to run wild. It would be a flat, frictionless existence, devoid of the tension that fuels desire, respect, and awe. This is the fate of those who make themselves too available. But there's an antidote. The deliberate, almost poetic art of disappearance. From the boardroom to the bedroom, the principles of strategic absence aren't just theories, they're lifelines to power. Let's unravel how to wield them. Begin with a brutal truth. Availability is the enemy of allure. Psychologists have long documented the propinquity effect. We're drawn to what's familiar, but this has a caveat. Overexposure breeds indifference. Like a song played on a loop, even the most captivating presence becomes white noise if overused. The solution? Intermittent reinforcement. Borrowed from behavioral psychology, this concept explains why slot machines addict us. Unpredictable rewards trigger dopamine surges. Apply this to human dynamics. The boss who delegates then reappears with pivotal feedback. The lover who's affectionate but never clingy. By alternating presence with absence, you become a source of unpredictable reward. And the human brain can't resist that. History's greatest tacticians weaponize this. Take Catherine de' Medici, the 16th century queen consort of France. Amidst the chaos of the Reformation, she ruled not through overt dominance, but through calculated retreats. When factions clashed, she'd retire to her chateau, letting tensions escalate until her return became a plea. By the time she reappeared, her adversaries were desperate for her arbitrary. Her power lay not in micromanagement, but in the vacuum she created, one only she could fill. Modern moguls follow suit. Consider Anna Wintour, Vogue's editor-in-chief, whose aloofness is legendary. She rarely gives interviews, attends select events, and maintains an aura of unapproachability. Yet her infrequent public appearances, pitch perfect and enigmatic, cement her as fashion's oracle. Wintour grasps a Machiavellian truth. Mystery is the currency of influence. When you're seldom seen, every sighting becomes a manifesto. But how does this translate to everyday life? Start with communication. In an era of instant replies, delayed responses are power moves. A CEO who answers emails within minutes trains others to expect immediacy, but one who responds selectively, each reply feels like a benediction. The same applies socially. The friend who's always on group chat becomes part of the wallpaper. The one who pops in sporadically, their messages spark joy. The lesson: be a comet, not a porch light. The corporate world is rife with examples. Steve Jobs' product launches were masterclasses in scarcity. By keeping Apple's innovations under wraps until grand unveilings, he turned gadgets into cultural events. The less Apple revealed, the more the media speculated. Jobs didn't sell products. He sold anticipation. Contrast this with companies that overpromote, flooding inboxes with ads until consumers tune out. Scarcity isn't just about physical absence, it's about information control. Relationships, too, hinge on this balance. Esther Perel, the renowned psychotherapist, notes that eroticism thrives on otherness, the space where mystery ignites desire. Couples who spend every moment together often suffocate passion, but those who cultivate separate interest, who occasionally withdraw, they stoke curiosity. The same applies to friendships. The person who's always free for lunch becomes a fixture. The one who's busy, their time feels earned. Yet there's a danger in overplaying scarcity. Absence without value is mere neglect. To vanish effectively, you must first establish worth. Picasso could retreat to his studio because his art had already captivated the world. A novice artist ghosting the scene, they're forgotten. The key is to oscillate between proving your value and withdrawing it. Like a chef who serves a sublime dish, then closes the kitchen, you leave him craving more. Religion and mythology have harnessed this for millennia. Gods reside in temples, not town squares. Prophets retreat to mountaintops. Even in Christianity, Jesus' 40 days in the desert amplified his spiritual authority. Absence isn't emptiness, it's a canvas for projection. When you disappear, others fill the void with their idealizations, fears, and hopes. You cease to be a person and become a symbol. Modern psychology frames this through conceptual consumption. Studies show we derive more pleasure from fantasizing about experiences than from the experiences themselves. The vacation we dream of is often more thrilling than the reality. By being selectively absent, you position yourself as a fantasy, a catalyst for others' imaginations. But the digital age poses a unique challenge. Social media compels us to broadcast every thought, every meal, every milestone. The result? A generation of leaders, creators, and influencers who've traded mystique for metrics. The solution isn't to reject technology, but to weaponize it. Banksy, the anonymous street artist, leverages obscurity to global acclaim. By never showing his face, he becomes a canvas for public speculation. His absence is his brand. To cultivate strategic absence, begin by auditing your visibility. Observe how often you're accessible, whether physically, digitally, or emotionally, and identify where constant availability has diluted your impact. Introduce withdrawal rituals into your life, perhaps a weekly day of silence, unplugged weekends, or blackout hours free from emails and messages. In daily interactions, master the pause. Let silence linger in conversations and delay responses in negotiations. It's within the gap between stimulus and response that true power quietly forms. Become a curator of your presence. When you show up, make it count. Whether it's a rare appearance at a meeting or a surprise visit to a friend, make each moment meaningful. Allow others to fill in the blanks. Share less, and when you do, keep details wrapped in ambiguity. History isn't hiding its storytelling through omission. Strategic absence isn't about playing games, it's about honoring yourself. By stepping back from constant exposure, you signal self-respect and teach others to value your presence. True power doesn't shout, it whispers with certainty. It's not about control through force, but through the calm assurance to step away. In a world addicted to noise and attention, the boldest move is silence. The most powerful presence is often absence. So reflect, when was the last time you left them wanting